Hey everybody, gonna try something kind of interesting here with one of my favorite characters of all time, Gandalf. I want to see if I can't get him back to his sort of whimsical past. When I first saw the movie, the stills for this movie back when before it came out, I looked at him and I said, "That's not Gandalf. That's not Gandalf to me." And now the movie when I did see the movie, it was really, this acting from Ian McKellen was excellent. It was really, really good. And he really nailed the character for sure. But I still feel like when I'm envisioning Gandalf, I still feel like it's not what I want to envision him as. And if you can see here, if these are some of my drawings of Gandalf here and there, and it's always kind of a more of a whimsical kind of, fantasy type character, and that's the way I like to see him when I'm reading the books. So, although I thought the movies were very done very well, the acting was really good, I feel like it took away and almost kind of ruined in some ways my enjoyment of the books because it was so dark and grim. I mean, you look at this kind of image here of this actor, who I say an excellent actor, but everyone envisions him now as this actor, and I don't care for that. And sometimes I feel like the movies, they're very dark, and they kind of ruined it for me a little bit. But this is the stuff that I grew up with here. The Rankin Bass Gandalf. It's more fantasy like, So, and these noses are kind of funny and stuff, but they're more, let's say, fantasy oriented, more imaginative. And that's what I love about the Lord of the Rings. It excites the imagination. So I'm gonna see what I can do here to kind of take my here's one of probably my favorite Gandalf faces and see if I can kind of take this actor and make him more like like my piece here. So I'm gonna start with obviously the biggest thing is that nose. I'm gonna select that nose and see what I can do with it. Because I thought it was, big and pudgy and, uh, not really what I wanted to see. Now, of course, that looks pretty silly, but it's kinda getting more in the ballpark, frankly. Let me see if I can take that out a little bit too. I'm gonna work right over it. See if I can get that chisel it down, make it a little more interesting and, um so I got my just my brush tools, standard brush tools. Get that reflection here a little bit. And make that nose kinda what I imagine when I see the nose. Build up his cheekbones a bit, perhaps a little bit. I'm using my eyedropper to select the color right here. So I have whenever I'm painting, I'm always have my finger on um, the option key, and I can pick a color and then just go over take it right on there. And let's see how that's looking. Want to build up this cheek a little bit more too. So the movies were great, but because they were reduced in time, I thought that they were grim and dark. But when I read the books, it's not that way. It's more lighthearted, more ordinary parts of the story, and more like ordinary life. Not so dark, not so um, realistic. Because that's what fantasy is about. You want realism. You want uh, to be taken away into another world, and it should bring you back and make you more positive about life, not negative. That's why the dark stuff doesn't quite work. It's too it leaves you with a instead of a love of life, it leaves you with a sort of a disdain for life. Fantasy, what good fantasy does, it takes you on a journey, and then it gives you sort of the love of the journey. And that way, Hollywood can really ruin great fantasies like this. Even though, like I said, the production values were excellent, the acting was excellent. For me, it took something away. I'm gonna straighten up these eyes a little bit. Or, make them a little more exotic, turn them a little bit. Maybe even enlarge them a little bit. Just a little bit. You can see kind of where it's going now. It's already looking like a little more of a fantasy character. I mean, it can almost stop here. But I wanted to see if I can push it a little farther. Okay. See on this some of these teeth, I just kind of make them a little bit nicer. And now with the eyes, I think I'm going to make the eyes a little bit lighter. They're often described as bright blue eyes, Gandalf has, and so I want to add that a little bit. Not too much color though. I want to keep it. I want to look odd. Still too. But he's getting there. He's getting to the whimsical aspect that I really like in fantasy. Let's see, what else can I do to this guy? I might make his mouth just a little larger. I might make his facial features a little bit redder, like add a little bit of red to the lips. Oops, I don't want that. Give him a little more color in his just himself. Warm things up a little bit. Kind of subtle. Now, what I might do too is take the whole thing and add a nice overlay color, edit and fill. Wait. And that I have a multiply layer on. See if I'm just filling with a solid color like this, big color like that, and I reduce the opacity somewhat, make it a multiply layer too, and sort of starting to just take it, just warm it up a little bit overall. I notice when I see people do art of Gandalf, they draw Ian McKellen, and That's, I think for a lot of people who grew up with the character, it's like, yeah, I can see that. I can see them thinking that way. But for me, it loses the in the realism, it loses the magic. I want to see if we can get that back a little bit. Keep that multiply layer on. Okay, that's for warming that up. I think I'll take this off for a second. And I'm going to work with just kind of giving him some of that whimsical feel of this mustache too. All right. Give me some white. This beard is like so grubby and scrubby, and I know Gandalf is kind of supposed to be, not so spectacular, but still, he can still be kind of fantastic in his in a whimsical way. Make him look a little less like a homeless guy. Do you want to keep him kind of gray though? Or maybe just a few kind of curls, curly flares and stuff. See, he looks a little more children's book like. Kind of reminds me of like the Harry Potter and the first book that Chris Columbus made, the first movie. It had a real charm to it, like a children's sort of story. And then the other ones got pretty dark, and I don't really like those as much. Oh, they're good and well done. It's like it depends what you're looking for, what you want. For me, I want to see the fantastic fantasy aspect of it. So this is looking more like it. This is more like what I had in mind when I see Gandalf. Okay, may add that color back in here. And maybe that color. Let me see if I can adjust the hue on this, bring it a little bit warmer. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. That's kind of what I want. What do you guys think of this? See, sort of taking him and making him a little more fantastic children's book type character, less of a grim sort of realistic, uh, negative view of the world. I think you'll probably ask you'll probably find out with you if you asked a lot of guys who and people and gals who read the stories before the book, before the movies, that they might say the same sort of thing, that their imagination of the character was a little different. People often don't imagine, they often do complain though. I when a movie comes out, they go, "It's not the way I imagined the characters." So, but in this case, I think I'm right in terms of the what Hollywood can do to something, kind of take it out of its take its charm away, its joy, its whimsicalness. Kind of warm up these areas here just a little bit more. I could even try a little bit of pink. 'Cause like I used it, I used some real almost pinks in the nose here like that. See what happens there. It's kind of an interesting sort of flavor to it. Okay, I think that's, I'm pretty satisfied with this. The bone structure looks kind of cool. It's fantastic. Extraordinary. There. I think that's it. I think I'm happy with that. Kind of interesting. Okay, let's look at the old other one here. Okay, there's the original. You can see when I set out to do what I tried to do here, and I think it works. This to me says a little more about the whimsical nature of fantasy, and this is pretty grim. Cool, and I do like this too. I have to say, but this is the way I want to see Gandalf. So let me know what you think in the comments. And check out all my other tutorials. I have lots of interesting, how to draw comics, how to do illustration, how to paint faces, how to draw figures and perspective. Lots of great stuff. So let me know what you think of this, and let me know what you think of my other videos too. And if you learned something from those other videos, those tutorials, pass them around. I really appreciate that. Share these tutorials are free, which is a good price, right? I got almost 40 years of experience as a professional artist, so I know what I'm doing, and it's all there. I'm giving it away for free because that's what I want to do. And I love art, and I want to see great artists. Great artists come after me doing great work. So, not that I'm great. I'm just saying that I do have a skill set to teach, and that's what I'm doing. So, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.